Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishvaro Gurachmeti Murti Beda Vibhagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Savavedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satiguru Pranatoshmaham Om Shanti 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 Om. Namaste. Welcome. Mandukya Karika, page 271, verse 51 and 52. Swamiji gives us a review. This beautiful analogy or metaphor example of the firebrand, the alatan. This to help us to understand the Ajyativada, which is a very profound teaching in the words of Swamiji. And according to Swami, is the most difficult teaching, the toughest teaching for us to understand and accept is of this meteor nature of the universe, in which there is no creation and there was no creator to begin with. There is no cause and effect. So nothing was originated, nothing was created, but somehow it appears and it remains available as appearance and experience, transaction, and so on. This is the most difficult. How can we just say, okay, now I understood, now I got it, when our sense instruments are all seeing the world physically, tangibly before us, through all the five senses we are touching and smelling and hearing the world. So how can we reconcile this, with the statements of the Upanishads that says that there is no real universe, but there is an experience of the universe, okay? So for that, we have several metaphors, examples, and analogies based on our day-to-day experience of life, that somehow we know that many things are not real, but we experience it every day, and not every day, but every night we experience the dream world and we know it's not real. So there are so many parallels that we say, oh yes, it's a fact. There are so many other things that we experience, but it's not real. And why it's so tough for us to accept that this universe, this physical, material, tangible universe is likewise just an illusion, a projection, not really real, although we experience it, such as we do experience the blue sky, among many other things. And then this analogy of the alatan is very brilliant to help us to finally understand that what Gaudapada and the Upanishad means by Ajyativada. There is no creation, there is nothing that caused this universe. There is an appearance that was caused by a certain power, we call it Maya Shakti, and we have no means by which we could understand this power and the ways by which it projects this universe, in which we have the creator, the creation, and the creature are experiencing this physical material universe and taking it to be reality. So he brings this firebrand, and with movement here, of course, goes to the Maya Shakti. With the Maya Shakti moves, energetically moves, it creates what? Patterns. So where are the patterns coming from? Are they come from this bright tip of the firebrand, which represent the light of consciousness, is it coming from consciousness? Consciousness is the background. Maya is going to produce action, movement, and then it's going to create appearance pattern. The patterns are coming from consciousness, meaning to say from the firebrand, the tip of the firebrand, or the patterns are coming from somewhere else. And when we stop the movement, where does it resolve itself into? All these beautiful inquiries to help us to understand the nature, the Mithya nature of this universe that somehow appears and deceives most of everybody, like Krishna says in the Gita, by the power of my Maya, I'm going to delude all jivas, all my jivas. I don't know why he says that, but he's not alone in that. The jivas somehow, I don't know, I'm not going to speculate. Okay, we have seen it. These patterns appear from nowhere, the same way the dream world and the dreamer appears from nowhere. It's just like, instant projection. And then out of the blue, it disappears. When the Shakti rests somehow, and then the projection stops. It's like a switch, on and off on a projector. It comes from nowhere. It resolves back into nowhere. The patterns, they just remain available for a period of time, a fleeting period of time, but they don't hold any real reality on its own. Meaning to say it's not a separate entity. There is only one reality, which is the firebrand, which is consciousness, on which this superimposition takes place. And then the superimposition brings the impression of infinite patterns or numbers of configurations of nama-rupas that appear to be real. Therefore, we look for a cause, because the world is the effect. And Gaudapada has been making an effort to help us to drop the notion that there is something cause this, because if we fall for the trap of causality and then we don't get out of this projection, we remain within the projection, try to understand whose fault is this, what has caused this, and blah, blah, blah. So we need to understand that it's just a rope. There is no snake. There is nothing that brought about the snake except my ignorance of the true nature of the snake as rope, right? There is only one consciousness. This consciousness is called consciousness, Turiyan, Brahman, the self, the Atma. The world, entire cosmos is just different patterns of nama-rupas, or configurations of the elements. The world does not have an origination from Brahman. This is something that we have to understand. So how this universe came into existence, it comes from Brahman. So Brahman is the cause of the universe, is an intermediary teaching that later on has to be taken back and say, I'm sorry, I did not tell you that Brahman is not the cause, because there is no world, okay? Ajaropa and Apavada. So now that you're mature, I say there is no world. I'm going to teach you Mithya, the Mithya nature of this universe. And now you're not going to run away from the Vedas and Vedanta, because you're going to be equipped to understand it. When consciousness suffers the superimposition of motion through the Maya Shakti, the universe appears superimposed upon consciousness. Brahman did not create this world. There is no relationship between Brahman and the world, because Brahman is above all a Sangha, one without the second. Therefore, there is nothing to associate with. There is no relationship. What kind of relationship would be there, or is there, between the disposed, creator and the creation. Is the creator is the cause and creation is the effect. We learn that and we keep that in mind for some time until we get mature enough to understand that there is no relationship between God or consciousness or Brahman and the world, okay? Because Brahman, above all, is Karta, and it is causeless. It was not cause and does not cause anything, but furthermore, is a Sangha. In order to be a creator, you need to have a relationship with the effect or the cause and the effect of what you are creator of. So there is no relationship. Brahman is the only thing, and it is a Sangha. Creation or origination of the world is not viable. Therefore, the Upanishads presents and asserts with confidence the theory of Jativada is the ultimate truth of the ultimate Upanishad, the Mandukya. There is no creation whatsoever. There is only Brahman, but there are a lot of appearance superimposed upon Brahman. That's the truth. Nothing more, nothing less. Everything is just a reflection that, of course, we see in you as consciousness. How easy is that? How easy is to take it? Everything is just a reflection occurring within myself. And where? In the head or in the stomach? No, we see myself, self. Within the Atma, the non-dual Atma. I'm just owning my nature as the self. I don't mean to say that is mine and not yours. You know, everything is just an appearance superimposed or reflecting upon the self, the non-dual self. And it's impossible, it's important at the point that we own it, although the self cannot be owned individually. But the individual is so attached to the notion that aham, body, mind as me, that he has to own his true nature, her true nature as Brahman, and understand that I am the only reality. And Jagat is just a reflection upon myself. And then you stop saying myself, you say the self. And then when you want to pass this message on, you say yourself, but then people have a hard time to take it. How? I mean, I need to really be convinced that I am consciousness to accept this Upanishadic assessment or declaration that everything is just a reflection occurring within my conscious existence, which is the only conscious existence there is of non-dual nature. So we have established with the help of Gaudapada that all the patterns are not considered as separate or independent entities. The patterns is an important analogy, but these patterns, they are just a suborder or a second order of reality called superimposition. It's a superimposition upon that which is the only reality. This is the final message of the Mandukya Karika. The word pot is used, but that does not mean that there is a substance. Does not mean there is a real substance called the pot. The substance is clay, likewise, all these analogies are so important to understand. What is the reality of the clay pot? It's clay. What is the reality, the real nature of the gold ring? It's gold. So gold is always there. The ring can be changed. You just melt a little bit and then you get something else. So everything that is talked about exists only as a namarupa, but the substance is consciousness. It's the only substance. It's the only reality. We call it Turiya, Brahman, consciousness, Satchitananda, or whatever. This Turiya is I. It appears, manifests as the Atma of the Jivatma, and it makes advertisement of itself by saying aham, 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 aham. But this aham needs to be properly defined. Otherwise, the aham keeps hanging there without knowing how to define itself. This aham can define itself as a limited entity or can define itself as an unlimited entity, which is Brahman. So it advertises itself as Brahman, and this Brahman is of limitless nature as Turiya, as Brahman. It's always present, and present are I, and some confusions. What is present are I, and some confusions, and that is samsara. When the confusion resolves, you are out of samsara. So this I is there, and the improper definition of this aham calls samsara. This improper definition of aham is the most common thing, is in default. Every human being is born and comes from ignorance and grows up within ignorance, and mostly, nearly everybody dies within this ignorance. Aham, body as me, body mind as me, and that is a life lived all through samsara. Yeah? But some people, even though they were born in samsara, total ignorance of the true nature of reality, and they die in samsara, but still they develop some spiritual punya by observing dharma and understanding that there is a creator. You understand? So there is what we call spiritual samsara or sacred samsara, which is better than materialistic samsara. So we grow until we can really step out of samsara. The ultimate truth is that there is no cause and effect relationship between the fire of consciousness, the firebrand, and all patterns. Brahman and world, or consciousness and matter. Matter is nothing but consciousness in motion. I love this sentence. Matter is nothing but as you remember, last class I added it a little bit. Matter is nothing but Maya Shakti, yeah, superimposed upon consciousness. Consciousness does not move, but Maya Shakti creates an appearance of movement that produce patterns. And among the patterns, there are some namarupas that are tangible, physical, material to our sense organs. And we call this reality, right? Because it's matter. So matter is nothing but Maya Shakti superimposed namarupas upon consciousness. Consciousness does not move. But this is a sentence that is a good pointer, a good mantra. Matter is nothing but consciousness in motion. But again and again, even when we are following the teachings of Swami Paramarthananda, I need to add it here and there, not to leave any room for confusion or misunderstanding. We have to understand that Swamiji talks for hundreds of peoples every week, peoples of all levels of development. Matter is appearance without explanation, beautiful as well. It appears and we don't have an intellectual convincing explanation on how it does appear. It's inconceivable, indescribable. It's amazing, unbelievable. It cannot be said to be existent because it does not have any existence of its own, but we cannot say that it to be non-existence also because we experience it. So again, how many things we experience which are not really existing, but just appearance? It's not sat, it's not a sat, but it is mithya. Not sat, not a sat, altogether something of totally different nature. It's not non-existent, it's not existent, it's something apparently existent. the more Mithya is probed, the more mysterious it becomes. So don't try to spend your lifetime trying to understand the Mithya nature of this universe, because every answer is going to produce more and more questions and logical complications as well. It's better to understand this world as a mirage, a superimposition upon consciousness, which was never really created. But how come it shows up? How come it appeared? It is the Jiva. Somehow it was designed in such a way that it is ignorant of the true nature of the mirage as the sand, the desert sand. So this ignorance, we are born out of this ignorance, we come here and again, we don't see reality, which is consciousness, the reflecting principle. It reflects and illumines these namarupas, these superimposition, these patterns. And then we come here with this ignorance, and we keep holding on to that, I would say, reinforcing this notion that this reality, this physical material reality is really real, okay? So which has incredible consequence, because if I take the world to be real, and if I move into Vedanta, even not moving to Vedanta, any materialist person that believes that the world of object is real, it also believes that my body-mind is real. And then there is no question of non-duality. To these people, reality is plurality. Reality is diversity. Reality is duality. This is the complication. And if there is duality, there is everything impacting and changing everything else, which gives great sense of insecurity and fear and desires. The verse 53rd, the substance is the cause of a substance only. So it does not cause any namarupa, the substance. The real nature is, if we want to put into cause and effect, you say the gold is the cause of itself. It was not caused by anything, and it's not caused anything else, because the ring is just an namarupa. The substance is the cause of a substance only. So I have only caused myself. How come? Because my nature is consciousness, non-dual consciousness, and I cause just ananda. So I, as conscious, exist in the only reality. If I want to say that I cause something, I cause another aspect of that, which is my intrinsic nature. I cause ananda. What the talk is the ananda, you consciousness? Because I'm alone here and I don't feel lonely. I am limitless. There is no border, no limits, And then I have a sense of fullness, wholeness, and completion. And then I enjoy ananda. But ananda is just another aspect of my nature as conscious existence of non-dual nature. So a substance is the cause of itself. And one entity is the cause of another entity who is distinct from that, generally speaking. Substantiality or distinction of the jivas cannot be established if you really look into this apparent manifestation. So we see that the Father is the cause of the Son, another entity which is distinct from its cause, So if God is the creator and then he creates the jivas and the world of inert object, and then the effect is different from its cause. Substantiality or distinction of the jivas cannot really be established in this manner, okay? So the jiva has no really independent existence or consciousness, independent consciousness of its own, because it would mean to say that consciousness is a byproduct of the physical body or the brain or anything like that. And then I have consciousness, you have consciousness, everybody has consciousness, because it's something born out of matter. No, there is nothing such as cause and effect There is only consciousness. Therefore, the reality of the Jivatma in its body-mind-sense complex cannot be established, much less the origination. Jiva was never born. Jagata was never born. And Brahman, of course, was never born. Ishvara, the creator, was never born. Why? Because the only reality is Brahman, Ishvara, Jiva, and Jagat. They are just superimpositions, okay? They are patterns due to Maya Shakti. The absence of cause and effect relationship is going to be further explaining the following verse. Two separate, different and independent entities are required for Karana-Kariya relationship to exist. Cause and effect requires two principles or two different independent entities. The two things in a cause and effect relationship must be entities apart from one another, independent from one another. Between clay and pot, and similarly between Brahman and the world or Jivatma, this relationship cannot be established. In comparison to Brahman, Jagat or Jiva does not have separate substantiality or entity or beingness. So between the clay and the pot, such as Brahman and Jivatma, so clay and pot. So is there something that exists as an independent entity? So if there is an independent entity, is what? Is the clay. And the clay pot, is it an independent, separate entity? Appears to be separate, but it's not independent, because its true nature is the clay. No? It stands as what? As a namarupa, name and a form of clay. So all there is consciousness. All there is the clay. So the same thing is between Brahman and Jivatma. We don't have two independent, separate entities. There is only one, which is consciousness of Brahman or Turiya, appearing as Ishvara, Jiva, Jagata. Now, what is required for us to step out of samsara is to be able to look, is not looking for God elsewhere apart from the world, but learning to look at the world itself within a different perspective, which is mithya. It's all happening within myself as God, as consciousness. Then I'm looking for consciousness, where I'm going to find consciousness. So where I'm going to find God, the creator. It appears to be everywhere, but it's not really there. It's just a superimposition. And consciousness, moreover, the illuminator, where I'm going to find it. So you're never going to find where you're looking, because it's your intrinsic nature. Then it will be known that what is mistaken as the world is only you. Brahman consciousness is your true nature. You're never going to find consciousness out there in the world, because there is no creator, Ishvara, there is no Jagata, the creation, there is no Jiva. All of that are patterns caused by Maya Shakti, the ultimate trickers, illusionists. It's like looking at some patterns on a sheet of paper and seeing a defined picture after some time. So what is the world for an ignorant person is Brahman for a wise person. It's beautiful. There is a passage on the Gita that describes this. What is night and darkness for the ignorant is day for the wise. Thus, verse 54, thus objects are not born out of consciousness, nor is consciousness born out of matter or the object. Thus, the wise people arrive at the birthlessness of both what? Consciousness and the world. No? There is no cause and effect relationship. You need a very sharp, very clear, very focused, very expansive, very flexible intellect to understand it and to hold this picture, so that you are not deceived again and again by Maya Shakti. Objects are not born out of consciousness. Okay, the world was not born out of consciousness, and consciousness is not born out of the object of the world. Don't think that consciousness is a byproduct of the physical body. Okay? Otherwise, you are completely lost, like most people in the spiritual world, in the New Age, Neo-Advaita. Thus, the wise people arrive at the birthlessness of both the creator and the world, which is but a mirage. In this manner, the objects of the world are not born out of consciousness. Matter is not born out of consciousness either. No, consciousness is born out of matter. We have understood it clearly. Nothing is born out of a second thing, because there isn't a second thing. There is only consciousness reflecting the universe. Understand? The only reality. Where is the blue sky? Is the blue sky the true nature of the sky? No. No. There is only the sky, space, reflecting the blue sky, the dark sky in a dark night without moon, or the cloud sky. But there is only one thing, which is sky. Nothing is really happening. It's just appearances. There is only Brahman in the past, the present, future, and the world is only a superimposition or an appearance. Some say that God has created man, and some others say that man has created God. That's good. Gaudapada says that neither of those statements are correct, but that there is only one existence which people divide into God and man, Jivatma and Paramatma. So the whole purpose of Vedanta is to establish the sameness or identity between Jivatma and Paramatma. So who has created who? God created man, or man has created? No, there is nothing. There is no cause and effect. So this division is an apparent division. What division is this? Is creator and creature and creation. But the reality is that the world resolves itself in Brahman as Brahman. Everything is only Brahman consciousness. These divisions, they are made by ignorant people, but there is only one Ekatma. There is only one Atma. The wise people know that karma and the body do not have a cause-effect relationship. I don't know exactly what he means by this. Karma and body do not have a causal relationship. Did you get it?
Is he referring to the whole notion of karma is adiropa? That we kind of think that the idea that we're here because of our past karmas and our experiences are because of our past karmas. It's a cause and effect relationship, which is
cause and effect,
thrown out.
Yeah. Thank you. Well said. Wise people know that karma and body do not have a causal relationship. In other words, prarabdha karma, the world as it unfolds before us, we say, this is my karma, so it's personal karma, collective karma, universal karma. There is no such a thing. There is only Brahman, the true nature of the whole show, which is the screen of consciousness. So there is no reason to believe that karma is going to get me rid of samsara. Karma is going to make me somehow cancel the body-mind sense complex in a certain mental state. The wise people know that there is only Brahman, but the point to be again and again remembered is that in Mithya, we know that we are subject to the law of karma, and the karma is linked to our actions. So this to keep it in perspective again and again is important, so that we don't override one or the other. You understand? Once in Mithya, we have to understand that karma is the most fundamental law, and it's going to impact the body-mind in the sense that you have to observe, this relationship between the creator and the creature, following the laws that sustains and structure the field, so that you can develop a body-mind which is further qualified, purified, and refined. So this remains within Mithya. This is what we call sakrati, or spiritual samsara, which brings about the result, which is mental, emotional, intellectual purification. Okay? But the ultimate truth is that there is nothing we can do really to cancel samsara, except to understand that there is no samsara. There's just a superimposition that is not meant to paralyze us with fear. Going back to the analogy of this snake, the rope snake, so there is no snake. It's just a superimposition due to ignorance that paralyzed the person with fear for some time. So once we understand the substantial, true, intrinsic nature of the world and the Jivatma and the Ishvara, the creator, and then we know that there is nothing to be concerned about anything, And this is the fruit, this is what it is, the fruits of self-knowledge, the ability that the yoni develops to deal with adversities of this Mithya world, and transacting the Mithya world through its very Mithya body-mind sense complex, but due to this knowledge, the ultimate knowledge of the true nature of the transacting experiencing medium called the complex body-mind sense, understand its true nature, one somehow has strength or immunity which minimize, greatly any concern about what's going to happen to the world, what's going to happen to my body, because nothing touches me as consciousness, because I am of limitless nature, the only reality, and then the body-mind will come and go. But now I know it's just like the dream. So I have no concern anymore with my dream world. It would be so nice we go into a dream. And whatsoever adversities we may experience in the dream, we remain just as a witnessing, watching objectively without any involvement. And guess what? As this knowledge grows, the dream, it's very, very interesting. There are periods that I'm almost not aware of any dream, okay? I say, am I stopping dreaming? And then came recently, the past week or so, I'm dreaming a lot, but there is a sense of just being a witnessing, a spectator of the dream, not really involved. So taking a parallel to that, the self-knowledge is meant to produce a certain sense of independence or equanimity or strength to watch what unfolds around us as an spectator, as a witnessing consciousness. Even though I'm still an experienced entity, but I feel more like I'm watching a movie, but it does not touch me, the movie, the same way when we go to watch Netflix or whatever. It can be very dramatic, but the knowledge that I'm not really taking part in this projection, I'm only the spectator. This knowledge of my perspective as the spectator, it prevents us from going through the dramas that people experience in the dramatic movie, So that is the fruit, the ultimate fruit of self-knowledge for the wise people. Verse 55, as long as there is an obsession with cause and effect, as long as there will be the notion of creation, origination, cause and effect, and so on. When the obsession with cause and effect is subdued, the origination, creation of cause and effect does not take place anymore. So the question, the $1 million here is how to somehow let go of this obsession with causality. So it's a very profound statement. So obsession with causality is a big thing, because every time we are taking this life seriously and doing a lot of actions expecting results, the results are the effects, the results of my karma, my actions, you know. So I'm still caught up into cause and effect, actions and results. I do action because I want to get the results. I don't do action because one must act and in accordance with Dharma, preferably. No, I'm doing action because I want to feel more complete by its effect, its results. As long as we are caught up with this division, actions and its results, cause and effect, I'm going to be trapped into samsara. I will be attributing reality to duality. No? The obsession will continue. But a time comes when maturity sinks in, no? That this obsession with the world and this obsession with the sense that I am the doer and I am the experiencer of the results of my doings, when this obsession, this fixation, I am the doer, you know, the ego, when this somehow is subdued due to spiritual maturity, no? And then I don't really see much, I don't have much concern in regards to what I do and what's going to be the results, you understand? So this maturity is going to worn out this sense of I am the doer and the enjoyer. And one does things just because we are designed to respond to the stimulus coming from the field around us, you know? The house is dirty, we get something and we clean the house. Yeah? Oh my God, I don't have food in the fridge, so I have to go out and do some shopping. So we do what needs to be done, but without obsession in regards to cause and effect. And spiritually speaking, this is big as well, because we keep doing sadhanas and sadhanas, hoping that the sadhana is going to produce moksha, and more often than not, forgetting that moksha is my true nature. All I need is to understand that, and then I'm out of samsara. So obsession of doing sadhana to get moksha, when it's subdued, and then the whole thing disappears, you know, collapse, cause and effect. My sadhanas, which are going to cause moksha, which is the effect, it becomes non-existence, does not take place anymore, because I got spiritual maturity. I'm not identified as the doer and the enjoyer. I'm not obsessed with what I do and, you know, how precise, and, you know, feeling guilt when I do actions which are not really good, and feeling proud when I do good actions, you know. It's a very, very powerful illusion that wraps us and ties us, binds us to samsara. If you are caught up in this cause, action, and results of actions due to the ignorance, it's going to be very difficult to get out of samsara. This will result in the strong notion, I am the ego, you see, the individuality. And I was born, I am only this age, that age, no? And I'm always concerned and anxious about my prarabdha as it unfolds. I want to have better future, and I try to control the field of interaction in a way that I just attract better prarabdhas and so on. The result will be getting trapped deeper and deeper and deeper into samsara. Now, and I'm trapped in something that fundamentally is non-existent. There is no samsara, so there is no cause and effect. there is no really world, universe. The wise is not obsessed. You see, Swami is always very, he gives that spiciness of honesty and integrity. He said the wise is not obsessed too much with actions and its results. He does not think much of the past and or the future, and it's a fact. They do what they have to do in this drama of life without thinking too much about what's going to be the result. They never look back to the past, or they never have insights to the future. They just do what they find to be the most appropriate action considering the circumstance of the Parabada. Yeah? That's another feature of the wise person. Getting steeped in the cause and effect relationship traps the mind. The mind remains all the time preoccupied. A mind preoccupied is, oh my God, yeah, and now, so how I'm going to avoid this and this and this and this, and how I'm going to attract this, and because I like the way I like. Now, when I want things, I want things. You know, I'm a go-getter, and I want things my way. You know, the mind is going to be all the time trapped and fixated with these kinds of preoccupations, concern, anticipation, projection. So remembering the past that you want to avoid, remembering the past that you want to bring back, look into the future, you know, and the trap gets stronger the more one engages in this ignorance. What is the ignorance? Karma, okay? Action and its result, which is based on the notion that there is a real world there, and by doing certain actions, I'm going to find true happiness within this world. True happiness cannot be found as a result of actions. True happiness, while you still interact with this world, is only possible by understanding that I'm free and independent from this world, and I'm the only reality. I engage with this world because in Mithya, I must follow the rules of Mithya. In Rome, I must behave as a Roman. Huh? So I get engaged into actions, but without expectations of results. So I'm not trapped into cause and effect. The mind is free, unpreoccupied. There is no stiffness of expecting and demanding things to be my way. Everything that is hurt and suffering in the world happens only due to the mind who does things, get bad results, and then do not let it go and start reliving it again, remembering. He's pointing out to the fact of the mechanism of going to the past, remembering certain things. It could be to try to bring it back, to attract it back, or to avoid it in the future. Just the recollection of certain experience, you know, and if they are good, I want to bring them back. If they are bad, I want to avoid the recollection, remembrance again and again and again, hundreds of times, you know, it's what brings suffering. Otherwise, we experience pleasure and pain, we just let it go. This is the second layer that really is the cause of psychological suffering, is what we do, you know, just remembering or anticipating or trying to attract it, trying to control. Again and again, we do that so many times that brings about the human psychological suffering. The mind will gain strength, okay? And it's not a healthy mind. It's a mind that's all the time preoccupied, concerned, trying to control, trying to demand this and that. The whole world gathers its power to cause suffering to us because I keep remembering, I keep reinforcing this ignorance, you know? I'm here to enjoy the fruits of what I want or my actions. Sometimes people demand things even without doing actions, you know? So all of that is going to cause great suffering. I have given the world the capacity and strength to make me a miserable jiva. I have given the world the capacity and the strength. How so? By reinforcing my patterns, okay? My patterns of thinking and doing things and saying things because I want what I want, you know, and I want to avoid this and that, and remembering that again and again only is going to strengthen this ignorance. We look for outside exterior source of our suffering, and for solutions also outside by doing more things, and we do not realize that it is us that generate the problem. How so? By doing actions and then getting the results. And if the results I want, I like it, and then I become obsessed with that good result, and then I start demanding that. You know, that obsession is going to produce great suffering because we can't control the world. We can't control the field of interaction. We can't control the results. The results, they are part of a very complex equation. So the only solution is wisdom. You know? So if we remain ignorant of even of the Mithya nature as it is, Ishvara, Jiva, and Jagat, much more if we get aware of the Satya nature as I consciousness, and then all the problems are going to disappear because my ignorance is the cause of my suffering. And what is the solution? Knowledge, wisdom, understanding. Yeah? So he opened up a space here to talk about the mind, which is a Mithya thing, and the patterns of the mind that really is what causes suffering. Okay, so it is a bubble here in which he talked about the Mithya mind and the way this Mithya mind causes suffering by getting intense or getting obsessed and trapped with the notion that my actions and I want the results that I want. As long as obsession, as long as I am obsessed with the world and I want my actions not to produce the fruits that I desire, the more it will get stretched farther, and the pain is going to be bigger and deeper. When this obsession gradually comes down due to Shravana, Manana, and Nidhyasana, and here it says of the Atma Svarupam, the true nature of the self. No? But here can even be Shravana, Manana, and Nidhyasana in respect to the true nature of Jagata, Jiva, and Ishvara, the teachings, you know, on Ishvara, Svarupa, Ishvara nature, you know. So this knowledge is going to gradually reduce this obsession with actions and its results. There will not be any more continuation of samsara due to the perceived. So the key is Shravana, Manana, and Nidhyasana. And we need to begin by understanding, developing Ishvara knowledge, okay, by understanding the science of Mithya, the science of Ishvara, Jiva, Jagat, that will minimize all this seriousness and obsession we have with controlling our experience and prepare us for the ultimate Shravana, Manana, Nidhyasana Upanishadic, which is analysis of our experience so that we can understand the true nature of the body, mind, sense complex as the limitless Atma. Yeah? There will be no more samsara to those who got this final understanding. The notion that the world and its trappings a need to complete oneself will weaken. So the notion that the world is there, actions and its result is the only mean by which I can find wholeness, completion, peace, and satisfaction by doing certain things to create a result that is going to reflect my limitless nature, which is impossible because the Jivatma is limited. Every action, every effort is limited as well. So these trappings is going to be there, bounding us to Riya. But the notion that the world is needed, it fades with maturity, to weaken with maturity, and then Turiya self will be seen as one's true nature and is going to be claimed as my real nature. Thus, one should discard this notion that there is cause and effect. This cause and effect teaching must be seen as a temporary teaching, okay? Intermediary teaching until we grow to be able to enter the final teachings of the Upanishads and accept the no creation, the no origination teachings of the Upanishads. The following verse, he carries on this concept. As long as there is obsession with cause and effect, as long as samsara is extended, once the obsession, is it the same verse? No, but it's similar. As long as there is obsession with cause and effect, as long samsara is extended. So we have to remember, what is samsara? Samsara is a psychological condition in which the human, the jiva atma, the human jiva suffers that which is called a psychological suffering. So if we really trapped between action and its result, cause and effect, samsara is going to be extended, and it's going to cause a great suffering because I'm attributing reality. And I say, no, there was a creator, there is a creation, and this duality, this world, this objective world is there as reality, and it serves the purpose to complete myself. And then there will be great suffering. Why great suffering is there? Huh? Hey, Mark, why it represents so much suffering?
Because it's duality. And if it's duality that's limited, so you're always dealing with limitation.
Anybody else?
I think it's because the mind is unhealthy. The mind is not educated.
All of that is valid. But the main point here is why samsara is present as an experience of great psychological suffering. Because samsara is a condition in which the individual believes that duality is reality. And if I see the world out there of objects, and I know that some objects tend to produce more satisfaction and sense of peace and security, but many other objects produce fear and suffering and displeasure, okay? So I live in see this world in which everything is like it produces pleasure, a double sword, a knife. It can produce pleasure sometime and then pain another time, even the same object. So we live in that, and we don't realize that there is no way out because it's easy, a zero-sum game. You're going to enjoy some things and suffer some other things. Sometimes the same object is going to produce both satisfaction and dissatisfaction. And you do not understand that all of that is due to your attribution of reality to this mithya projection, such as the projection of the dream world. And I remain obsessed, trying to do what? Try to control my experience. You understand? I only want to experience pleasurable experience. You understand? And this attempt, which I often call impossible mission of controlling my experience so that I only experience favorable object, favorable circumstance, and so on. This is such an impossible task. Nobody can control one's field of experience. The yogi try to control its experience by developing samadhi but it's an experience in which the world has to be somehow removed, and it's not simple. And if you have some roles to play in society, you cannot just sit there like Ramana did when he was a child. You understand? So the samsara, which is a psychological suffering, is extended for as long as we attribute reality to duality, because if there is duality and if the objects may serve to complete myself, I'm going to try to resolve this problem of limitation and dissatisfaction, a sense of incompletion, inadequacy, and so on. I'm going to try to resolve this by actions and its results. Well, and the results are never under my control. There are millions of billions of trillions of factors producing the results of our efforts, not only in this lifetime, but my previous actions from other births. Since I don't have control over my destiny or the experience that I will have in the near future, trying to control is the most suffering thing there is, because it brings amazing frustration. With frustration comes irritation. With irritation comes depression. Sometimes it comes rage, anger, and then the entire complexity, which is what we call psychological suffering, competition, enviness, everything, is going to take place, and the mind is going to be destroyed, all because it is on a journey of an impossible mission, which is control one's experience. Believe that I can get everything I want. Mick Jagger used to sing a song, I can't always get what I want. And this is very true. We can't get what I want. There is a higher power that's going to provide us with what we need in order to learn certain lessons, not what we desire to enjoy. So samsara is going to be a great suffering. It's going to be extended because I'm on an impossible mission of controlling my experience, not understanding that I have a relative control over my actions, but no control whatsoever over its results. So I leave the parabola to the Lord and accept the results as prasada, understand that life is a school and I'm here to learn certain lessons, not to enjoy experience. When this obsession, which calls samsara, is subdued, one does not enter. The one does not enter samsara. One sees samsara just disappear out of nowhere. One cannot understand how samsara was there before and now it's no longer. In the beginning, it's a little bit disorienting. Why I'm not concerned anymore? Huh? What has changed? I don't believe anymore in this reality. I'm not obsessed with controlling my experience through my actions. So all of that is past, and a certain spiritual vasana brought about this karmic merit. And then when I find myself, I'm no longer living in this psychological condition that causes tremendous suffering. It's called samsara. And this suffering brings us back. This suffering is the emotional element of samsara. Samsara, from the emotional standpoint, is what? Is suffering, much suffering. From the intellectual, cognitive aspect is ignorance. Ignorance is going to bring us back at the same point, at the same level, and we're going to come out of that ignorance. We're going to have another life in which we're going to suffer again, which is the fruits of ignorance, is the experience of suffering, which is samsara presented on the emotional level. Okay? So we carry on from this verse from tomorrow on. Anything from you guys?
I was just thinking that this is what we've gone over today is why the Gita repeatedly tells us that this is a secret teaching. You just can't, it's radical. you know, to most people, it's very radical. You can't really share it. I don't know what we're going to do after we finish Mandukya. I mean, how do you top this?
Yeah.
I feel like doing it all over again.
Yeah, this concept of a secret, no? But it becomes a secret because people do not even come close to it. You know, it's hidden in the plain sight. And
Yes,
knowing that nobody's going to value that because people are not prepared, we don't need to offer it much, you know. It's better we wait people to ask us what's going on in your world, and then you say, are you sure you want to listen? Oh, yes, tell me what's going on really in your world. No, you want me to tell the truth. So I'm going to prepare a pot of coffee or tea, and we're going to sit down, but please let me know, are you sure you want to listen? You know, because most people, they don't. You know, they contact me, Lynn, and but let me be your student and this and that. I tell them, okay, so it's a pleasure. You're welcome. Come to my class, and they don't come. You understand? They just play as if they have interest. They are curious at the most, so they want some more spiritual information to put in their archives and so on. You know, but they don't.
it's a big lift to relinquish ahamkara and mamakara. It's not, I mean, conceptually alone, it's a big lift. Emotionally, as you were pointing out, a very large lift.
Yeah. I don't know what you mean exactly by a lift. It's the most simple thing, but it's not easy. It's very difficult.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Because this ignorance is hardwired in the human body, mind, sense complex, you know. It makes it difficult, but it's the most simple thing, the most natural, because it is our intrinsic nature, which is free from everything. But as James used to say in the past, it's very simple, but not easy at all.
Yeah.
Okie dokie.
The whole outlook you were talking about is what I think is meant by Sakshi Chaitanya, the witness consciousness.
Yeah. Yeah. That,
and that's when you can give up ahamkara, mamakara, when it belongs to the field.
yeah. Because as we know, self-knowledge does not destroy the jivatma in its body, mind, sense complex level. It remains there, but it remains more with a sense of no obsession, no need to try to control, taking things as it comes, you know. It's often referred to as equanimity or just balance, accepting things in a positive way. Not really having much interest in any results of any actions, but yet doing actions. These are all features of the yoni, no? That we can see growing within ourselves in our day-to-day experience of life. Okay. Anything else, Mark?
No, very nice, satsang, Arlindo. Very good to go over this and keep repeating this and keep going over it. It's wonderful. So I'm really appreciating it.
Thank you. I appreciate your appreciation, big time. Felipe, did you understand? You have heard this already in Portuguese, in Italian, and in my last seminar in Chinese language, you learned as well, now in English language, huh?
It's always good, always good, always good.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishate Om Shanti 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 Om. Namaste. So tomorrow we keep hammering the Mandukya, okay? Same Micha. Namaste.